We got Tommy Lee in the house. Can you just check the framing? Make sure we're all in frame on all of them. But dude, super excited to have you here. I think the first time I met you was at like this like multi-million-dollar listing, and I believe it was through Claudia, right? Yeah. And she was like, "Oh, we're gonna go shoot at a friend of mine's listing." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Do you know who it is?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's Thomas. I believe he's on Instagram as NJ Nest." And I'm like, "Oh, that dude's like super like very professional, like suit and tie, like only messes with like multi-million-dollar listings. Like I gotta bring my A game, you know? Like I gotta be presentable, right?"
Yeah, for sure.
And then I get there and you're like this super cool dude. I thought you were the homeowner at first. And then you were just like this really cool dude. And I was like, "Oh man, like what's up, bro?" And then I invited you on the podcast because I was just like, "Dude, we got to do this."
Appreciate it, man.
So like, just a preference. Sorry, dude, I'm out of breath. Whew. Just like for you, so you understand what this is I want this to be about like I look at video as a tool, right? And it's what I love about it is like you can replay it, and so I don't have to repeat myself a million times. You have that tool in front of you anytime you need it, and at the end of the day, it depends on what you do with that tool, right?
Absolutely.
And so like what I'm using this platform here now is to just like get a peek inside your mind on like how you started, big lessons you've learned. And so that way where people are just starting out or like don't even know where to even start, like they can get a glimpse of like how you started and live vicariously through you essentially.
Sure.
And figure out, you know, their own life path.
Yeah.
So I guess break it down for me. Did you go to school?
I went to school. I went to Rutgers University.
No way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did Sam. Shout out Rutgers.
Go are you?
Yeah. What'd you study?
I studied economics.
Oh, no way. Okay. And then like how did that transition into like you getting into real estate?
Absolutely nothing.
Really?
Yeah. So I went to college because, you know, that's the dream for every immigrant. Go to college, get a degree, and just be more successful than us. So went to Rutgers. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, all right, business is usually my acumen. Let me just go into economics, get the easiest thing over with so that I could get the diploma. And then, you know, we could start whatever we want to do.
True.
You know, I always grew up in a family business. So
What was it?
it was, it morphed a lot. So we actually had a storefront in New York City, and my parents, it started off as a souvenir shop to a t-shirt store into a fashion jewelry business.
Huh.
All from one location.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
In over what time span?
I think they picked up the storefront early 90s.
Oh, wow. So in the course of what, 20 years or 30 years?
I would say about 20 years.
They were just, and what was it exactly? They were just like, "Oh, this clientele isn't really like working for us. We're going to switch it up."
I feel like it wasn't until like the mid 90s where imports from China started coming into the US. And for us, it was like, wow, this is like new stuff. Because right now you could buy anything. You could just order it on Amazon and then it'll get shipped to you. Like you don't know the full aspect of the logistics and where to get these things. But without the internet or pre-internet, it's like whatever's on the truckload, cool, like I'm gonna sell this. Right?
True.
Just seeing my parents do like have their boots on the ground and like bootstrapping the business and putting it together and essentially making it into like
I love that.
Something that's just greater. That's where I got a lot of my inspiration from, a lot of my work ethic, and a lot of just how to run a business correctly. Yeah.
I always look at realtors as like not so much realtors, but more so like entrepreneurs. Do you feel like this kind of like where that atmosphere and that culture of like growing your own business kind of like solidified in your mind that you want to do this too?
Yeah. I always say real estate is not a job. It's a lifestyle. So it's like, look, if you're up till late at night doing research for your clients, doing whatever, all the background scenes to get ready for the next day, then it might be a right fit for you. But if you're looking for it to get a quick check, just kind of live like this the selling sunset kind of atmosphere, like that's total bullshit. It's not going to work.
How do you feel about part-time agents?
Part-time agents, there's always a it's a little tough,
Hmm.
especially for part-time agents, because are they fully committed or are they not?
Right.
Right. And if they are committed, it's like, look, I always agree that for someone to support their dreams, you need to support yourself first.
Wait, what do you to support? What
If
do you
they
mean?
want to become a full-time real estate agent, if they want to become successful in real estate, and that's the thing that they ultimately want to pursue. But sometimes you're going a couple months without paychecks or
Oh,
without commission. So it's
uh,
like, what are you doing to sustain yourself during that portion of it? But if you're really committed to having that as a long-term dream, like part-time agents, like that's a grind of it.
mm,
So I fully support it if they're within that mindset and that kind of long-term vision of what they want to do. Part-time agents, just get a really good mentor. Like
true.
you need the good support behind you.
I feel like it's hard. Like it's hard enough as it is, even if a full time agent. So let alone you're cutting half your time. It's like it's twice as hard. I feel
Yeah,
like. Okay, so you're growing up with your parents, and so you're working in the business too. I'm assuming
yeah.
growing up,
Growing
and then
up.
you're like, oh, dude, I'm just gonna go to Rutgers, get a business degree, and then what?
So what was it? Man, the number one thing that I wanted was I see the lifestyle that my parents have, and I do not want that
Hmm.
because I'm just like they're working 100 plus hours, 6 days a week, 7 days. Even on their day off, they're working, and I'm just like, no, we came to America to kind of like live this 9 to 5 kind of thing, 5 days a week, whatever. And then graduating Rutgers, my first job out of Rutgers was actually working for commercial lending.
No
Yeah.
way.
So, because I always wanted to get into finance, I was like, all right, let me make a ton of money. Like,
Yeah.
try, or do the thing that I believe would make a ton of money. So, it was actually a private lender.
Okay.
And from there was a lot of learnings within that first year of how to look at commercial deals. And for me, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, but like, dude, I'm not making anything and this is terrible. Like, I hate working for someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the pain.
And I did that for about a year. And then I'm just like, you know what? The business was booming for the family business. That was maybe 2005, 2006.
Nice.
And everything was booming at that time. It was right before the crash, right? So you
Yeah.
got a good like 4 or 5 years right before it. And they're like, you look miserable. You look like you're not making a lot of money. Just come into the family business, and you'll take care of yourself. But that transition to 6, 7 days of work again,
Mm.
it was adopting their lifestyle. But I came in with the mentality of like they work so hard for me that this is my way of repaying them.
Yes. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, yeah, I did that business for since 2015, since 2005, 2006 to 2019.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it was quite a journey of learning all the different aspects of business.
So you're
in
still
that manner.
fairly new to like real estate.
Yeah, yeah. I got my license in 2019.
What was it? What was the
Late
turning point?
2019.
Or were you just like, oh, I need to get my license?
My thing was like, I'm like, dude, I've been reviewing the numbers for the family business, and I'm just like, dude, it's not gonna make it. Like, I gotta like figure out what the next step is. Let me
Mm.
just get my real estate license and see if that's the next turning route.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, like, okay, so like, walk me through. You're a green agent. You're brand new. You just get your license. What do you do? Do you look for mentorship? Are you like, dude, I got this. I don't need no help. Like,
So when I first got my license, I was part time. I was still in the family business,
okay.
and then I was like, okay, I could do this thing like on weekends. I could do open houses like on a Sunday, whatever it is. But the number one thing that my mentor always taught me was like, instead of learning it by yourself, find someone who's successful and that's actually done it and just model them and follow them, shadow them, regardless if they want you there or not, just be there, right?
Yeah.
So that was my earliest learning. So I think at my first open house, it was a multi-million-dollar listing. And
That was your first open house. Was
yeah.
how do you? Okay, so like, do you just like? How'd you even find this mentor? Like, how'd you get your first house as a multi-million-dollar house? Like, how does it happen?
That one, it was Rebecca and Eddie from Closter Remax.
Okay.
And I live in Closter, so their signs were everywhere.
Mm.
And I'm just like, look, if they're crushing it, I need to learn from them and see exactly what they're doing. And the first open house opportunity, Eddie was hosting the open house at the listing in Demarest, and I was like, dude, can I come? He's
So you
like,
were in Remax.
I was with Remax first.
Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then he's like, just come to an open house. Right? I'm like, cool, all right. I got into the luxury kind of like scene right off the bat. So
Which is awesome.
I
Great
was
starting
super
point.
appreciative of it. But I've asked a ton of questions of like, okay, cool. I just started out. What do I need to know?
Mm.
And he said it. He's like, you have to be committed. It's hard work. And the main thing is it's a small community. So make sure that you're not speaking bad about anyone and that you'll grow your reputation from here.
So like build relationships.
Build your brand, build your relationships.
Ooh, I'm so big on brand building.
It's my favorite thing too.
I love it because like and it's so funny because like a while back it was so hard for people to understand what is a brand, like what is it, a logo, and it's like all it's just your reputation, it's just what people think of you like after you leave the room, and then it's what people like how people refer to you as, right? And then you solidify your brand by coming through on all those things that people said about you, like when they actually work with you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what was your like what was your mission statement, if you will?
Mission statement, just in life is to leave a place better than you were prior to being there.
I love that.
Right. So that's always been, I guess, my motivating drive. Right. Didn't know how to, I guess, vocalize it or put it into words, but essentially, I've seen that growing up, being in a family business, being in this industry, that not a lot of people do that or have the mentality to do
Do you
that.
think it's just like take, gimme, gimme, gimme?
I think a lot of it is you're either gimme. There's people that are gimme, 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 or there's people like I'll do this if you will. Right,
Yeah.
and that's where like it gets messed up. So I'm just like I've been burned and I've been screwed over, and I get told nowadays I'm like, dude, you're doing too much. I'm just like, well, this is just who I am,
Mm.
and because of that, people know that Tom will always take care of them, right? In terms of if there's a business transaction, if he promises something, that he'll always deliver on it, and essentially that's been the brand. I didn't get into real estate full time until 2021.
Mm.
And the way that I got into it was the family business. We shut it down December 31st, 2019.
Oh man.
And
Was it like bittersweet or was it just like
for me, if I did not do any of my personal development prior to that, I don't think I would be. I wouldn't have pulled the trigger
hmm.
because I would have stayed with the opinion of my parents, of other people, of like, you need to stay in it regardless if it burns down or not.
Hmm.
Uh, we built this for you, and now you're effing it up, right? And I heard that for like negotiating to the closing day, right? Where I'm just like, it's not making it. It doesn't make any sense, and there's always a better future. Right? It's not always this. We could always take the learnings from what we have here and put it into something else that'll make it grow exponentially. And I got crapped on by my dad.
I was gonna
By
say
my
like
parents.
how do you handle, because it's heavy, man, like you're having these conversations with the people that have birthed you, so like they're your parents, and like they're like you, like this is our philosophy of life, and you're going against that grain, but it's like I see a better future. And how do you, because like for me, so I've never really had that experience where it's like I've always had like my parents like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, and then I'll just do something completely different, and then I'll just be like, yeah, but it's fine, like we'll figure it out. But I see people where it's like their parents say something and their word is law, like it is. I'm militant to their what they say, and it's so like, how do you navigate those waters and like be cool with, like, how does it not eat you up inside?
it's a lot of personal development
Mm.
because it's like, look, I understand you. I respect you. I totally know what you gave up and sacrificed to make it this. However, I believe that I'm an adult, that I can make my own decisions, that I can make my own destiny. And the saving grace where they stopped interrogating me and why I made that decision was COVID hit 3 months later.
Mm.
And they're like, Tom, if you didn't do that, we would be totally screwed.
Mm.
And then I'm just like, I didn't know either. Right? It was just a saving grace. It was the
Yeah.
synchronicity. It was what you know inside is the right decision, but responding to it, even though it's the most scariest decision that you make, and that
Yeah.
you know that you'll be crapped on, that all these things are you know that you'll face the brunt of it.
Isn't it crazy? Like following your gut is like so scary, but like you always usually have to.
Yeah, yeah. It's I believe it's kind of like the North Star. However, there's no true game plan for it, right? It's like, shit, I made a decision. I'm stuck in it. Now it's like I gotta find my way out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And while closing the business, like my wife, she was like, it's not fair if you get to go on vacation or take a break while while
Fair.
while
Yeah.
this is happening. I was just like, I don't know what's next. So she's like, all right. She put in her 2 weeks of resignation. We both
What was she doing?
she was in fashion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So she was in fashion. She's like, I'm burnt out too. I need a break. So we both were unemployed in what, mid-January.
Scary.
And then we're like, well, let's go traveling and just like kind of just get ourselves back together. So we
love
went to Philippines, we went to Bali for February. When we come back and then the world shuts down. And we're like, oh shit, what do we do? Right? And I believe I was like, cool, we close the family business. The next thing is, all right, this is the next test, right? Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And of course, the whole world is just like the
On
grace.
fire.
Yeah, everybody's going through the same thing. Everybody doesn't know what's next, and through that period, we're like, oh crap, we don't have any money coming in. We have some savings, but do we want to put that towards a mortgage, or do we just kind of use the forbearance to help keep our savings?
Sorry.
Just live?
Just for like forbearance. What does that mean?
So forbearance was when the banks were giving you allowing you not to pay your mortgage up.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Right?
Okay, okay,
And they
okay.
gave homeowners like, well, we'll give you 3 months, and then we'll give you 6 months. We went 18 months on this thing. Right?
It's awesome.
But the thing was, I was like, dude, it's not gonna last forever. Like they're gonna like this is not gonna last forever. We have to make a decision here. And with that was we were living in close there, and we had a decision. Okay, we could sell the house, we could rent it out and rent somewhere else, or we can we'll figure it out, right? And that was my throwback into real estate.
Hmm.
Was I called a buddy? I was like, dude, we gotta sell the house. He's like, I'm right there, right? And then he's like, oh, I get a I get a listing. I'm there, right? So he sold the house, and we actually moved into my parents' place. But at age 39, age 40, it's not how you envision your life. It's like I just moved my wife, I moved my kid into my parents' place at 40.
Oh, you have a kid too?
Yeah. So
Wait, did you go to Bali with the kid?
No.
Oh, nice. You had like
She was with my parents.
Oh, baby girl?
Yeah,
nice, dude. I got 2 at home.
they're the best.
Yeah, it's
Girls are the best.
dude. I love it. I want a boy though. I do want a boy, but yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, yeah. But the boys are always menaces.
I know. And I was like, dude, I saw me growing up. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready.
But the girls are always sweet. They're smarter, and they're a bit more advanced when it comes to maturity. Even at
Like every day she's like learning new, like more and more. She's 3 now, right? And like
Fun age.
it's so interesting. How's your kid?
Mine's 8, turning 9.
Oh, that's right, dude. Yeah, you took her to the play.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I knew you had a kid. Dude, yeah, it's so interesting because like it unlocked a level of me that I didn't even know I had. A level of understanding, a deeper level of love. Like it just unlocked so many parts of me. But yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to.
dude. No, like when I say the first thing, as soon as you become a parent, you're like, oh shit, I was a little dick. Or like I was a little
Yeah,
piece of
dude.
shit. Let me call my parents and kind of
They're
be
just
like,
talking about love
I
of it. I'm so
understand
sorry.
where you're coming from, man. What the hell?
Dude, that's so true.
Oh man. But yeah, so that was 2021. We sold the house, and then a couple months later, you know, like just like how everybody was doing in COVID, everybody was trying to sell a course. They were trying to do some type of coaching or whatever. My thing was like, okay, if I was to do the coaching portion of it, what would I help coach or teach?
Hmm.
And I was like, it's business relationships, business branding, and how to market yourself. And I always told people around me that real estate is such a dinosaur industry when it comes to that. That they think that when they're carrying their flag of their brokerage, that's going to get them business. But I'm like, it's not. It's the individual. It's your own. It's your own stories. It's your own experiences that allow you to get those clients and attract those clients for you. And that was the biggest blessing with forbearance. Was I was like, I'm not the only one going through this. There's other people that don't understand what their options are, and let me be that guide of at least what we've done and how we got out of it. So helping that out, that's kind of what catapulted me in the beginning. Because coming fresh green, my thing was my buddy sold my house, but the thing is, he has been in the business for 3+ years ahead of me. And the other thing is, he has good relationships with other people. And this is Paul Kim. And
Shout out, Paul.
yeah. And then I'm just like, if I can borrow your brand, or if I could borrow your relationships,
What does that mean?
it's going under the halo of a brand, right? I'm new. No one knows who I am. But if Paul can say Tom's a good dude,
Vouches for you.
Tom will vouch. Paul will vouch. And my thing is, all right, I got to live up to that promise, or I got to live up to that reputation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And essentially, that's how I was able to jumpstart the business quickly.
So having someone that's already established in the game vouch for you
Yes.
is huge.
It's huge. And the thing is, like, I think the first 4 months of real estate, I think I made like $1,500. And it's like
In the first
4 months.
first 4 months, 1,500.
$1,500
From what?
I think I had 2 rentals, and I was like, but the thing is, I was like, this is a long-term game.
Yes.
And people always look at the dollar amount in the beginning, and it's like, is it really worth it?
But they don't account the learning experience.
They don't incorporate that. But then also, I was like, dude, wow, maybe that's how much I made. But during that time, I've accumulated these many deals under contract. So I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna get like my first like $50,000-$60,000 a month. It's just coming in the next couple months.
Yeah.
I had to just be patient and just keep on building relationships, keep on gaining more transactions to get to that point.
True.
Yeah. So first year, what, $10 million is what I closed.
No way. That's awesome.
So everyone's like, how the hell did you do it? Right? I don't know. I just work my ass off every day.
Yeah.
And
When you say work your ass off, so this is something I like to talk to people about. When you say work your ass off, do you like what is the difference between work that actually pushes the needle and like busy work?
you get caught up in busy work because you think that, all right, I spent this much amount of time on it, that I feel like it is valuable in a way where it's going to quantify into monetizing, right? So it's easy to get into that trap of like, oh, I was on social media all day. It's like, well, what were you doing?
I was building connections. I was
Scrolling.
networking. Yeah. I was watching fucking cat videos.
And like those things, they come in handy sometimes because it's like, oh, I need a really good comeback, but I remember this cat video that I saw. But like, it's really building out relationships, building your brand in terms of stories, um, things that
What do you
won't.
mean stories? Like on Instagram stories?
I would say stories in terms of real life stories and
But
real
like
life experiences
that you're posting.
through posts.
Got it. Okay,
Right.
okay.
So a lot of the thing that pissed me off in real estate, or like the niche that I found when they were posting, is they only do about them,
Mm-hmm.
about what they sold, or about their listings, right? And if it's all about you, then you're not giving,
Mm.
right? So you're always it's not a take either. It's just a time suck. And it's a time suck for the people that view it because they're not getting any value out of it.
So okay, so like, help me understand when you say about them. Like, let's just say I go on Instagram
Mhm.
and I want to post something, and I tell a story about me, but it's a story with a moral at
Mm.
the end of it, and it's like, dude, like, uh, learn my battle scar, but without actually getting the battle scar. Like, isn't that beneficial though?
That is beneficial, but a lot of agents weren't doing that.
What do you mean it was about them? Oh, so
They're
it's just like, look at my listing.
Look at my listing. Look what I got. I'm a superstar agent, whatever it is, right? So
Oh.
it's not giving the context of like, well, how did you get there?
Yeah.
Like, what experiences can you share that could really help either your potential client coming up, could help peers in the business, or just other people to get to know you better.
Hmm.
Right. So my thing was, all right, if you're going to start a brand, it's got to start with stories. And it's the stories of, look, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I know that my previous experiences helped me get towards this area. Right. And for that, a lot of people, maybe they won't be customers right away, but they'll remember that. They're like, yo, I remember that story. Like, I told it like 3-4 years ago, but they're like, that one really resonated.
Hmm.
I was like, I'd rather have that. I don't care if you're a client or not. As long as it helped you in some way, shape, or form, then I feel like I've added value. Right. And by doing something like that, it's about being vulnerable. People, the biggest critic is always going to be family, friends, and yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're like, who the hell are you? Why are you putting our business out there? I was like, no one's listening. No one cares. Except for that one person that might see value out of it.
I love that view of life. Like, have you always had that?
No. It wasn't until I hated the camera. I didn't want to be on camera. I always wanted to be the person behind the camera.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. So you're creative.
Yeah.
Huh. That makes sense on why you know about storytelling.
Yeah. So my thing was like, I don't need to be the superstar. Like, I don't care about that. Like, one of the things that Paul asked me when he came on to, when he asked me, he's like, why do you want to join our brokerage? And I said, well, the number one thing is I want to build wealth, and I want to build it for my family. Right. And the next thing is, yeah, if I could help other people do the same thing, that's my ultimate goal. And he's like, are you doing it for notoriety? I said, I don't give a shit. He's like, what if are you doing it for the awards? I'm like, I don't care. I'd rather make money than get these awards and try to just say like I'm a top producer, whatever it is. Like, if you put in the work, if you do it well, all that comes as a byproduct. Right. So that was the biggest thing, was if you look at one of my first videos, especially trying to promote a coaching brand or like a coaching business, right? It's like, I swear there was a laundry line of things that I read off of. And I'm like, my name is Thomas.
So
right?
fake. It's so
then,
fake.
But I'm just like, that's how everybody starts.
Yeah.
And it's until you get comfortable in terms of who you are, that's when everything changes.
Yeah.
And this is just a regular conversation.
That's it.
That's it. It's just lights, I love the setup that you have here.
Thanks, man.
It's killer. And just having awesome people that are aligned doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it comes out to.
Talking about your experience and providing value.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so one thing that I wanna touch on is you said one of the key pillars was your business relationships.
Hmm.
Can we go high level in the sense of like what are key things that you know that you need to do to build these business relationships,
Hmm.
and then can we go a little more granular on like actual stories that actually happened that you were like, oh man,
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
When it comes to relationship, it's always you never know who's going to be your friend or your enemy.
When you say enemy, how does that work in real estate?
uh, I would say where people say enemy, it's like they had the expectations of like, dude, you were supposed to help me, right?
Oh.
Or like, oh, I did this for you, and I can't believe you didn't help me out,
Hmm.
right? So in a way of like, there's honor. There's if you want to try to go like old school with it, it's like, nah, man, your word should be your bond,
Word is bond. Yeah.
right?
I'm firm believer of that.
Right. But not so for a lot of people in this industry or even in other industries. It just, uh, I believe in that moment they could be giving or they could be taking.
Hmm.
And it's when you meet them or where you meet them that you're not sure who you're going to meet, right? They could be in a place of desperation or there could be a place of inspiration.
Hmm.
And for
I love that.
Rel-
Desperation or inspiration. Oof.
for a relationship, it's more, are they aligned? How long have they been doing this for? So it's really looking at their track record and seeing, are they who they are and say they are, and do they and actually solidify who they are, right? And that's the biggest thing in terms of relationships,
Hmm.
right? Who do you want to surround yourself with? How do you want to be adding value within that relationship, right? It's what can I do for you that can help both of us. And a lot of people, they'll be like, well, you could help me do this so that I could get bigger. Right? But for the people that are true, that are the long term people, they'll be like, I remember when you did that. Like, and even the person, even you won't remember like doing that one thing, but they'll be like, that's how I knew that you were different.
It's like the little things
It's the
too.
little thing.
Yeah.
And you never know exactly when that moment is. But if you're consistent in who you are and how you show up and how you do it, they'll remember,
Hmm.
right? Because for them, it could have been that moment of desperation of like, crap, like I didn't tell you about it, but this is what was really happening, and you really came through, right? So that's how I get my relationships and the peers around me, right? If it's cool, I learned a lot of mistakes early on, thinking, dude, like let me just give, and then when I was in need, there's no one.
I want to talk about that because I was in a very similar situation where like I'm always like the giver, right? Or I always want to give. Like I want to like get, and sometimes it was like at the detriment of my bank account or like whatever, right? Um, and then when I needed it most, it was like nothing was there, and it's like, oh man, this kind of sucks, right? So like how do you learn, and sometimes it's just your time. It doesn't have to be a monetary thing. Sometimes it's just being there for someone, right? How do you navigate when you're giving too much, or like how do you suss out when someone is when you're like they're taking advantage, or like how do you, or like, oh, I need to put myself first, I need to put my mask on before I could put others mask on. How do you navigate those waters
I would say withdraw yourself a little bit.
in every situation?
See how the situation changes if you're not there, right? Because if you're constantly a giver, you're always constantly there. You're present.
Yeah.
But if you withdraw yourself from it, are they changing?
Hmm.
Are they saying, well, why aren't you coming out? Whatever it is. Or like, why aren't you helping me do this? And it's like, well, I got my own business to run, or I got my own plans, I got my own family.
But you don't like feel, sometimes I just feel so guilty of like not being there.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it's like to my own detriment. And it's like, shit, I don't know what to do here.
But that's your own suffering.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's your own mind.
Hmm.
Because everybody else, if they see it from the outside, they're like, whatever, right? But
True.
for us,
True.
it's an internal story. It's like, no, but I gotta be there.
Yeah.
It's gonna all fall apart if I'm not there.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Right? But it's trusting in the people around you. It's trusting in the people in your circle that look, they could do it.
Hmm.
Right? And even if they do it better without me, that's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love connecting dots. It's like, oh, you'd be great with that person.
Right.
Like, go make something magical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately how I built a lot of the relationships in this industry.
Would you consider yourself a matchmaker?
I would say yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm just like, I know a space that will help you do this, or like I know a person that could help you do this, and I don't ask for anything in return. And that's where like, oh well, you don't want something. I'm like, you earned it.
Huh. That's such a beautiful like thing to say.
It is what it is. But then my hope is, hopefully they'll remember it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna put it on them. I'm like, yo, I remember on this day.
Oh, I hate
you
when
told
people
me-
pull receipts. It's like I did this. Yeah.
But when I reach out to them, they're always like, I'm there. What do you need? And then I'm like, okay, cool. This is a real relationship.
Sometimes I'll do those checks and I don't even need anything. It's just to see if they'll like show up. They'll be like, I'll be there. And I was like, no, it's fine. I got it. You're good. Dude, that's cool. Oh my God, I just drew a blank.
Relationships, I would say sharing the stories of your personal experiences. I always say that there's so many agents, especially starting out, or even those that are like older and starting out in the business. They're like, I have nothing that I could offer, or I don't know how to get into this business, but I know I got to make a paycheck, or like I need to get a deal done. And I always say, look, you need time. Time and patience is the most important thing for this, because not everything happens right away. Right? In any business that you're in, everything happens in bunches. And when it happens in bunches, you have to reserve that. So
Can you explain that a little bit more?
the lesson that I took from 2008, 2009 was, if you were not saving the years before that, then you would be screwed.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same thing that happened in real estate in 2020, 2021, 2022. All these real estate agents, they're buying Ferraris, they're buying their nice houses, whatever. I'm just like, dude, like, no, like, that's where the money comes into bunches. That's where you save it. Right? Because there's going to be a time where things will shift, and then that's your opportunity to buy in.
Oh. Okay.
So if you take it from that route, you know, you saw the most amount of Ferraris and like big houses coming out actually in 2009, 2010 after the crash. Because everybody was liquidating everything that they had, because they're like, I can't afford to even eat.
True.
Right? So like, I don't need a Ferrari. It's not going to feed me. But you're going to have someone that, all right, cool. Like, here it is. I'll get the Ferrari for like 60% off whatever it is.
Yeah. And they're like capitalizing on that so well.
Yeah. And we're seeing it right now in commercial real estate. Will it happen in residential?
How long do you think it's going to last for commercial real estate?
Commercial real estate?
Is it at least another 2 years?
I would say there's categories that are thriving in it right now. Warehousing, industrial.
So like so my lease ends in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I want to get a warehouse space for like super cheap.
Not anymore, bro.
Wait, really? Dude, everybody's telling me, commercial space is there's so much inventory, you'll be fine. It's going to be super low.
If you're in office.
So like this is technically office.
Right. So something like this where, yeah, this would be considered office space, but if you're going like straight at like warehouse,
Warehouse, yeah.
that per square foot is more than what office space is going for today.
No, dude, don't. You think it's gonna be like that in 2 years, or you can't really tell?
The way that it's shifted is we've seen a lot of e-commerce
Hmm.
that want to utilize their warehouse and just build out small offices in there.
Hmm.
Versus rather than just having warehouse and then having an office space separate,
Right.
having two separate,
They're kind of just like
put it all together. And warehouse was the cheapest at that point.
shit. So I got to do the same thing, but in office space and turn it into warehouse.
So the opportunity right now is office space.
Shit, no way. All right. Okay. I want to, so like just branding is so important, and I think you exude it. It's like your brand is your person, and your word is your bond, and the same goes for brand. How do you feel about other forms of like marketing? Do you market yourself besides just building your brand organically?
Like how so?
Like paid ads or like outbound, like how do you, so like you know how you were saying how like money comes, or like just in business the money comes in bundles, and then there's like dry periods, and then it's cyclical. How do you prevent the down periods by marketing yourselves to be able to stay afloat and stuff?
Oh, you gotta start marketing early on.
Hmm.
So even in a down market, you should be marketing the most.
The most, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are pulling back, and it's your opportunity. That's why I always say, like, instead of buying that Ferrari, just wait for the market to turn a little bit. That way, you can put it into marketing, and then whatever, it'll boost your business even in the toughest market, because you're going to grab more market share. You're going to have more eyeballs on you, and even at that time, ads will be cheaper.
Really?
Usually in a down market, because
When people
everybody's
pull
pulling
out?
back.
Oh, they want you to,
They
so
want you to
incentivize
do it. So they'll be like, dude, we'll give you more clicks, or we give you more whatever, cheaper clips for what it is.
True.
Because you're getting everybody pulling back.
Yeah.
It's like when stock market or Bitcoin, it's like, oh shoot, it's crashing, right? Everyone's pulling out, you know.
Did you get involved in that?
I did.
Yeah, NFTs too?
No,
No? Oh.
no. But I did terrible because I was like, cool, like, look, I could do it, put it into this, and then everything just tanked. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm gonna just leave it, because that's the best place to do it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know anything about.
So you
this
still got
industry.
it?
I still got it.
Cool.
But I'm just like, my biggest learning and mistake was touching it.
Mm,
Right. So I'm just like, I should have just left it, and we should just let it ride.
trying to
And
day
that's
trade
it.
Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah, we were on that roller coaster ride as well. For Bitcoin, Ethereum and some NFTs. But it was a wild ride, but we've learned our lesson, and I think we just use that learning experience
That's it.
in the future.
Just stick with what you're good at,
Yeah,
and just touch that
exactly.
a lot.
That's really what I learned.
Right.
Is like, dude, just stick with what you know, bro. Okay. How do you, like? Can we get a little tactical?
Sure.
How do you market yourself specifically?
Relationships. So I built out a lot of my business relationships by marketing other people on my social media.
Huh.
So I use it as a platform of like, look, these people are great, use them. Right? So it's building that relationship of, look, it goes deeper than just recommending someone. Oh, are they doing just a sponsored ad? Or they, people can see through the bullshit now. But if they're constantly showing up in your post, you're going to get in front of another audience. And my thing is, be in an industry where it's complementing, or even in the same industry. If I see Claudia saying like, look, dude, can we like collaborate? It's like, run the show. Like, for me, I don't want any, there's no personal gain. I'd rather help you build up your brand, right? Even if it's using my platform, right? And by doing that, that's how you establish true relationship. Of like, look, I take the ego out of it because there's no gain if you're just trying to do it for ego.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to actually help someone and they see the benefits off of that too, it'll create that moment of like, I remember. And that's exactly, I'd rather be the person who put people together and they're like, wait, how did we meet? Oh yeah, it's Tom.
I
Right.
love that.
Because I think the biggest thing was, I think Grant Cardone said it was, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
Oh, I like it.
And that's when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's the mind shift. Like that's where it's like, who knows Tom?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just because I know someone doesn't mean they're gonna like want to like fuck with me.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
So tactical, where I've done a lot of marketing and a lot of growth is actually through tradespeople, contractors, painters,
Huh.
movers.
How so?
I use them. Let me promote you. And they're like, Tom, you're doing it for free. I'm like, well, you do great work. Like, I'd rather be associated with someone that does great work than does crappy work.
Yeah.
Right? And and for me, it's where, look, you're young. You're, early 30s. I'm 40 now.
Dude, you look great. Holy shit.
Water and stress keeps you thin and keeps you healthy.
And stress. Water and I got both of those.
But I said, look, who was I needing or who was I looking for when I was 30? And how can I help them? If they were there for me then, like how would my life changed? And the two, like my contractor Douglas Tuccini, he's blowing up, and I'm just like, I'm so proud and happy for you, because ultimately I wish nothing but the best for you. And if I need a favor, or if I'm like, Douglas, I need help with this, he's like, dude, I'm there. Right? Like that's the type of relationship that'll go on for a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? Regardless if he gets so big that he's like, he doesn't return my calls, but he'll be like, I remember when Tom helped me out. I'd rather be that person that leaves a place better than I was before.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just physical spaces, it's relationships, planting them with different people. Goose Media. I'd rather blow you up, man.
Shout out Goose.
This is why I'll take the time out to have these kind of relationships. Because when we first met, we were like, dude, you're pretty cool. Like I think we're aligned. We have the same vibe. But, let's just make a time in to really blow this thing up. And for my people, I'm just like, dude, like when people reach out, who do you use for photography? Who do you use for media? Who do you use for yada, yada, yada? I'm like, 1, 2, 3, boom. And they're like, yo, they're really good. I was like, yeah.
That's why I recommend
I
them.
only work with good people. I'm not going to give you crappy people. Like they understand my brand. They understand their
Because it
brand.
solidifies your brand
It
as well.
solidifies everybody.
Yeah.
They come to me. They're like, Tom, like, I'm hoping. I'm like, dude, like, we want to buy a house or like we want to sell our house, but it's like, oh, who's your photographer? I'm like, all right. You'll hit a mic.
Don't use them too much though, because I still need them.
Right. So it's really being the facilitator, I would say. Right. And if you think of it as basketball, it's like you want to be the point guard. You have the ball in your hand. You get to kind of play the magic and make the play.
I look at there's a word, courtier, I believe. It's like it was like back in like kings and queens times. Are you familiar? Okay, so it's essentially the perfect, it's like the perfect person. It's like they're behind the scenes. They don't want to be the main guy, but they're the facilitator of everything that happens in front of them, and they make sure like everything goes smooth. And that's I think that's I think that's the best position to play.
Yeah.
It's point guard. It's just being the it's essentially like a maestro. You're just like making sure everything goes smooth with good musicians, and you make something beautiful. It reminds me of another quote. I forgot who I heard it from, but they were like, "If you ever want someone to refer you business, refer them business first."
Always.
And it's just like something so common sense that like it's like, oh yeah, why didn't I think about that earlier? Um, I I enjoy the 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 ease it is to like talk with you.
Mm.
You know, I don't get ego at all, like not even a whiff, right? Um, it's funny because I try my best to like kill my ego. I don't like it, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so like I try to put that out there with my content, and it's like you attract what you give out, and I don't really come across too many people with egos.
Mm.
So like I didn't know that there's like a place where like people have egos in the industry, and I'm just like I never come across it, right?
Mm.
Um, have you ever found yourself like fighting your ego or realizing that's like, oh, that was an action I did because it was ego and it just slipped up a little bit? Like, has that ever happened to you?
Luckily, not in this industry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, early on, yeah, because you know you're young, you're wanting to make big moves,
Mm,
and you know there's ego where you know it's not the right move, but your ego gets in the way,
mm,
and you know that's where a lot of relationships and a lot of things, you know, will
crumble.
crack
Huh.
because of that. But it's really going to reminds me of getting one of my first appointments actually for commercial space, right? Because we were in the family business, we closed it down, but we didn't leave everything, you know, scot free. Everything wasn't clean,
Mm,
so I'm just like, I went to one of our vendors, and I'm just like, look, I'm in real estate now. Like, I'm not in this industry anymore. Like, you kind of know that. Uh, but I owe you money, and I know we have a balance. Um, I see that warehouse like in the back that it seems like you're having difficulty renting,
mm.
and it looks like a lot of other realtors had issues renting it. What if I do it for free? And or whatever you're going to pay me in commission, how about we pay that towards the balance?
Hmm.
So it's a way of a lot of people will not approach business that way.
It's a very creative solution.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like so like I want to talk on, dude. You're like, I don't want to like say it, but like you're like an artist. I would say like I would
Mm.
label you as an artist. You were saying you'd rather be behind the camera than in front of the camera. You come up with creative solutions to problems. Like how do you even like think about stuff like that?
It's all the experiences of being a business owner so long, growing up in the industry,
Hmm.
that you always have to find a solution. You always have to find a creative. Nothing's going to be black and white. Every situation is going to be different, and that's why I feel like real estate is like, dude, there's so many things thrown at you. It's like, okay, how do we get to the solution? So many people want to dwell on the problem, but I'm like, that's not going to solve
Yeah.
it.
Yes, yes. I'm very
Yes,
solution
you
oriented.
must approach it. You must eat the frog
What does that mean?
in terms of like, you just gotta fucking eat
Oh,
it.
it's gross. It's like
It's
yeah.
like there's
You
no
gotta-
way around it. It's like you just gotta fucking eat it, and bi- from there you get the solution instead of just having this thing in front of you,
Hmm.
right? So it's
How
like,
did it play out?
so I managed to lease it out.
So wait, what was okay? So this is very interesting to me because like you're presented with not only one problem in the sense of like you have an outstanding bill or whatever, and you're trying to find a creative way to like squash that and equal whatever, pay it off. But then you also have to encounter other problems that other realtors have encountered on even just trying to sell it in the first place.
Mm.
How'd you go, like what did you do different than everybody else that like allowed you to actually sell it?
It was all the relationships that I had prior. So
Huh.
I always go in, if it's going to sell to a certain person or someone's going to rent it out, I already have the avatar in mind. I was like, for this particular space, it's not going to be for every business. We're
Right.
going to get someone that's not going to be there, that's going to use it purely as storage, and that will be very minimally evasive. And a lot of people that want warehouse space, like they want to be there, they want to be manufacturing, or they want to do something, they want to be there operating their business. But I'm like, I got to find a person that's not going to be there,
Hmm.
right? That'll make it just as easy for you as possible, getting you the rent that you're looking for to help you out. And then lastly, um, it's more of a humility thing, right? I think that's where my ego was like, I kept it in check of like, look, if you could approach them saying, like, I have a problem, but I have a solution for you. Can I help you? They see it as like, I have nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to honor your word. I could respect that, especially from another business owner to another business owner. They'll be like, go ahead, take your best shot at it. If you succeed, even better, right?
Yeah.
So that was ultimately it. So like with that particular space, we got them someone that does holiday decorations.
Hmm.
And that client, I found out through another listing that I'm just like, dude, this space isn't right for you, but I know another space that's off market that you'll be a great fit for. And because of that, that was the
So that's actually really interesting. So like now I'm starting to like get a kind of like an understanding on like how to solve problems. Um so and it just correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you provide immense value to everyone you meet no matter what, but then you also take account of that person's avatar or their archetype. And when a problem arises, you kind of put so much goodwill into the world where like you've amassed this like network of people that you can now plug in to the problem and figure out how to solve it. How long does it take to build that network?
it takes a lifetime.
Yeah, I was
Like,
because like, what if I have a problem? I just haven't met the person yet to solve the.
right.
You know what I mean?
But you come across people. So the way that I always see it is, it's kind of like my buddy who does marketing and who does branding. He's always like, there is always going to be a guide that shows up, and that person will take you to the next level.
The hero's journey.
Yes.
Hmm.
And for me, I do my best to play that part. I was like, look, I don't need to be a hero. Let me be the guide. Because the hero is always the person that's the weakest and the most vulnerable
At the beginning, yeah.
at the beginning. But then they go through this transformation. They go through a journey that now they're top dog,
Yeah.
right? But essentially, there was that one person that guided them throughout. Like, look, this is like the trials and tribulations you have to go through in order to solidify for your next journey.
Hmm.
Right. And I saw it when closing the family business, going through forbearance, going through that personal transformation of like, um, who was that person? Who was that guide that really helped me get to that next level? Right. And for me, it was a very deep spiritual journey. And I always saw it like, okay, at the end of my life, I am where I'm supposed to be. However, there are shortcuts that will get you there quicker,
Hmm.
and that'll make the journey a lot more enjoyable if you step through those opportunities that are given to you. And usually those opportunities are the scariest. They're the ones that that look like hell, that everyone avoids, that everyone says, I'm not ready.
Hmm.
And then they'll just pass the door and they'll take the long journey again. Even though that door could have been like, I'll speed you up so much quicker.
That's interesting.
Right? And because of that, every adversity that I face or anything that comes hard at me, I'm just like, okay, cool. What do I need to learn? Where is this going to take me? And how is it going to help me towards the next level? Right? So having that guide that's been through that, that's why I'm always open about sharing transparently, being open and honest of this is the journey that I've been through. And I feel like I've been through this journey so that I could help others. And because of that, that's where the connection happens. So it's like, I wish at 30 I knew this. Right? I'm like, let me help you. Because I know exactly where you're at. Let me help you speed up that journey. And now they're like, oh shit, like it's going too quick now. I'm like, well, yeah, now we have to figure out systems.
Yeah.
I'm not the systems guy,
Operations.
so like seek for someone that does.
Find another guy. To do that.
Right? I'll get you the marketing, I'll get you whatever, I'll get your name blown up. But you gotta figure out the systems things. And for me, that's not my forte. Like I hate management. Systems is a tough thing for me. But that's why I hire those people, or that I try to find those people that could help me do that.
Smart. Yeah.
Right? Because I was like, I could spend hours and days and months on this thing, and I still won't get it right. Right? But if I get someone that's a guide that could help me in that perspective, where I could just stay in my genius zone or stay within where I'm really good at, then we'll get ahead.
What are some possible places? And I mean, granted, I don't want you to use just your real estate background to answer this. I want you to kind of use your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But where have you generally found your guides?
You have to pay for them.
Okay.
You have to pay for them, because whether it's networking, but I believe being around a group of high level people, right? It could be a supper club.
What was that?
It could be a place where business owners come together, just have dinner.
That's
like
a thing?
Yeah, it's like a dinner club.
Dude, put me in, bro. I never even heard of this.
These things are like $25,000-$30,000 a year.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I thought you were going to say like one time.
No, I think you meet up like maybe 4 times a year.
Okay.
Right? But the thing is, like,
Do you do these?
I did them a lot earlier on. I kind of haven't done it in a while, but I'm like, you know what? That really has helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then it just opens you up to a whole network of people, different industries, different ways of thinking, and it allows you to be like, oh, like I have this problem. Like, what would you do? So it's getting around the people that are playing at a higher level. That even though you think you're playing at a high level, someone else is playing even immense higher level,
Yeah.
right? But you want to start getting yourself immersed in those groups and those communities, just because one piece of advice that they give you, that you execute or act upon it, can be the difference maker, right? And it's not about how much you shell out. It's like, cool, like it's a lot of money, but it's because I value it and they value it too. It's like, this is the entry to play with us.
Yeah.
Right?
You play poker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible at it.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking about hosting like a poker night where it's kind of like this, something similar, but just like we're just here to hang out. Entry's like $5.
Yeah,
So it's not crazy. It's not $30,000.
Right. But essentially that's what it is. It's just having like a common hobby that you get a whole wealth of experience. Right? I think my biggest thing, especially in the personal journey, was Tony Robbins. Right?
Yeah.
And Tony, I went on my personal journey with Tony in 2017.
Like going out to the event?
Going out to the events.
How was it? I'm very curious. So like the way when I first saw Tony Robbins, I was like, oh, motivational speaker, right? And then like I sat down and listened to him and I was like, wait, there's like something different with this guy, and he's a little more, it's not just like he believes in like a structure, but also like allowing yourself to just feel like the vibe and then let the vibe attract you where you need to go. So tell me, like, how was your experience with that?
So I think the first Tony experience was, what was it? I was watching the Netflix documentary. Yes, I'm not
Recently?
I'm Not Your Guru. This is back in like 2015, 2016.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think he made a new one, or unless they're just
Or they're
re-pushing it.
just repushing it. But I remember watching it, and then my wife was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know, but it's like really captivating, right?"
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know. So that was 2016. I think that was like November or December 2016. And then I was like, well, let me see when this guy's next event is. And it's January 2017.
No way.
And then I'm just like, I must go, right? And it was his business mastery program, and that thing was like 10 grand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't know what the hell I did, but I spent 10 grand to go to this thing. I'm pretty sure I'll get my investment back. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
So I go there and it changed my life, right? I'm just like,
Really?
yeah. Cause like it was like, it walks you through the journey of all your personal shit that's getting in the way, right? But from a business perspective,
Hmm.
right? It's like, because you're trapped in a cycle of this, it's not allowing you to get to the next level. Or like you're grasping certainty so much that you're not willing to go for the uncertainty.
Hmm.
And because of that, it's limiting you.
I also think something that was very beneficial was you went in with no ego,
Mm.
and so you were able to absorb everything in its rawest form and didn't allow it to be like filtered through your ego.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Because like I think like sometimes for some people it can be a transformative experience, but like how do you not slip back into old ways, old habits? Or do they talk about that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
where you got to
I
try
just
to
gotta go.
identify
I just
yourself
gotta
with.
go.
So I went to that, and then I joined like his high level like mastermind like mastery thing, and I'm just like, dude, I just shelled out a whole shit ton of money, and my wife's like, wait, you did what? Right? And then I'm just like, yeah, I kind of joined that thing, and then she's like, I'm not upset that you joined it. I want that for you.
That's beautiful.
And she's like, but if you're gonna do something like that, fucking tell me.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, okay. Like,
But it's so beautiful that you have a partner that supported you in your
yeah,
decision. I love that.
yeah. She's the most supportive person in my life.
It's beautiful.
But like, I'm the biggest idiot. Like when it comes
Yeah.
to like,
It sounds exactly like
but,
me and my wife, yeah.
but that's what love is. It's like I could accept you for your flaws. I know that you want better for us, but just like don't be an idiot about it. Like have the open communication and have whatever. Like let's make a decision together rather than you making a decision and then this shit happening.
We're on the same team at the end of the day.
Right.
That's it.
And that was because of that, I was able to open my eyes and say, okay, how does business really play out? And the number one thing that I got from there was a quote that said, business is a spiritual game. It's about doing more for others, giving more than receiving back. And if you're able to do something like that, then you're leaving your mark on the world. And from there, I was like, okay, cool. Like, but I gave a shit ton. And I got fucking burned.
Yeah. Like then reality sets and it's like, well, how do I navigate?
And I think that's where the walk comes from of like, okay, how can I tell who's real, who's not? And it's not to speak bad about anyone or whatever. It's just, okay, like who's going to be here for the season or who's going to be here for a lifetime. And but the events, I would say, definitely an experience that you should at least do once. It's like Burning Man or whatever it is, right? It's kind of like that kind of like
Vibe.
awakening or vibe.
I have a question because I've heard it was actually a podcast that they were filming here earlier today. There was a slightly different philosophy. Granted, it was about more analytical stuff and less spiritual, so I don't know if that plays a role. But it was essentially, I would rather spend the money instead of going to an event to teach me how to do it. I would rather spend that money on doing the actual thing. How do you feel about that?
It's the same thing.
What do you mean?
You could learn it and not apply it, and it will be a waste.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're actually, I see it like as a home renovation, right? Is when we did our first home renovation, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But all the walls are down. We got to figure this shit out, right? So it really throws you in there to figure out what are the next steps. Like, what is the right process?
Hmm.
Where do I get the right materials from? Who do I trust to get this done faster, quicker, cheaper, whatever it is? Or I could just leave it up to someone else that'll do everything, right? And that was one of the journeys with. So we sold the house during forbearance, but that scariest decision that we have ever made was the most fruitful one
Hmm.
because that flipped into 3 homes.
No way.
Yeah. And because of that, I was like, cool. We took the scariest route. We were able to build wealth. Granted, we're still building wealth. But the thing is, it gave me the extra experience of like, cool. Now I know how to identify properties, either for myself or my clients, saying like, this will be a good investment if we could flip it, or if we could renovate it and you could live in it, right? I'm here to help you build wealth. And essentially, if you help someone make money, they're very happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I'm just like, this is a route that we can take, but a lot of people will say, no, it's too much work. I'm like, actually, it's not. Because I went through all the bullshit to help you speed it up. Let me get you the right people. These are the right people to call. If you need the right materials, this is where to get it from.
That's awesome. Final question. What is a common misconception that people have about success?
They think it's easy.
Really?
They think it's no sacrifice, especially with the instant gratification society that we live in today, right? But if you really want to be truly successful, success is the worst teacher. Because you think it's always going to be easy, or like there could be luck that happened, and it's like, nah, like I could repeat that, right? But then
I tried with Bitcoin, it didn't work.
But I always say your success is based on all the failures that you've done. And I always say that with success, it comes from the ashes of failure. So if you hit rock bottom, it's actually one of the best places because you know where up is.
Yeah.
Right? If you're successful, you just keep on floating. You're in the ether, whatever it is. You know, it's always going to happen for me, right? But if you really face adversity and if you really face that failure, or what they deem failure, that's the best lesson. So I always say, look, instead of trying to play safe all the time, it's always good to fail, you know? And if you fail, sometimes it's good to fail big because now you...
Scary. The bigger it is, the
Yeah.
scarier it is, though.
But also it gives you the speed up to get there, to get up faster. Because it's like, oh, now I know exactly what was the downfall on this. Okay, cool. I could get that done right away, right? So, but relationships, that is the biggest thing with success. Because if you don't have anyone's trust, or if you don't have anyone vouching for you, or anything like that, you have a long road.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, word is, do your best to keep your word, deliver on your promises, and over deliver. And if you can't, be transparent enough and hold your ego back to say, like, I can't, right? Because at that point of view, it's like, look, I'm doing everything that I could possibly do to do this. It's just not happening. I need your help. And if they see that humility, and if they see that true, authentic self, then they'll be like, I want to. Like, it's coming from a place of want, not need.
Yeah.
Right. And that's essentially it, man.
I had no idea like how this. I mean, I knew it was gonna be cool talking to you, right? But like, I had no idea like you were this deep, man.
I've been through my shit, dude. Like, And I'm still going through it, and it's just a different level of responding to it.
I love it. I love it. You came with such a level of like clarity and maturity, and I've taken so many notes. But dude, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come help me out with doing this.
Appreciate it.
Really excited. Cut.